Hi guys, you're in the right place if you want to learn how to draw by understanding what you're looking at rather than breaking things down into shapes. And today we're going to be doing 4 more vector drawings. So you need a larger piece of paper and a pen that's not going to be too blotchy for you. So today I'm actually using this Sharpie fine point rather than my regular pen that was just like bleeding all over the paper the last couple of times I've used it. So, okay, I hope you're set up and ready to go. All 4 sketches that we're doing today, the bird is going to be facing to the right. And we just want to have very simple vector drawings that give the impression of a bird. That's the goal. And let's go. Okay, so let's, first of all, we're just going to do his little bill pointing out into the world. And they're really simple. Give it a divider. And we know his eye is located a little bit behind the bill. And it has a white dot where the light reflects off the curve of the eyeball. Not too high, not too low. Okay, close to the bill. Now the first sketch we're doing is just like a side view mug shot. So what do we see? We're going to see his little forehead. And we're going to see the top of his head. And we're going to see the back of his head. Now we know that the distance from his eye to the bill is smaller than the distance from his eye to the back of the head. We know that. So have the back of his head, push that line out a little bit. Now, since this is just a profile shot, we're going to see part of his throat. And it's going to go down to the top part of his chest and his rib cage. And when we come off the rib cage and down into his tummy. Just take your time. It's just a side shot, okay? Now we know that at the back of his tummy, we bump into the fluffy bum feathers and then his tail. So let's leave this right now. At the back of his neck, we bump into his upper back and then the wings kind of all blend together. And they typically fold nicely on top of his tail. So let's pick up this wing here. We also know from a side shot that we see quite a bit of his tummy before we see the flight feathers. So leave a space here, and you know, if you kind of put it in the middle, that's going to be good enough. And we're going to have his wing stack nicely on top of his tail. These are fluffy bum feathers. Now, because it's a side view, we're going to see a little bit. The tail's going to be thin. And some bum feathers. And this is it, our very simple vector drawing. Now, his leg, we know his leg attaches at the back. Here, we've got the joint, his kind of like elbow joint, and then the length of his leg. So how about we just can, depending on what kind of leg you want to give him, you can give him a little elbow joint. And straight down for his leg. He can have short little legs or a longer leg, it doesn't matter. It's your vector drawing. Now, we know that his middle toe is the longest. So we're going to draw his long middle toe. And we know the back toe is, for most birds, for little birds, it's a little bit shorter. And then he's going to have his two other toes, which are shorter. And then we're going to give him some cartilage around his foot. The end. Now, on this side, we're not going to see his elbow joint behind, but we might see a little bit of his leg. So we can just carefully sketch in his other leg. Give him a long toe in the front, smaller toe in the back, other toes if you like, depending what he's standing on. A little bit of cartilage for his foot. And this is our very simple vector drawing. I'm exhausted. It took us like 3.5 years to get to this point. I hope you're not making as much fun of me as I'm making of myself. Okay, let's just, split in the tail a little bit. You can give them some, just if you want. You're not supposed to for a vector drawing, but if you just want to like put in some wing feathers, like some dividers, right? Because we know that the wings have all the different bars on them and stuff like that. Oh no, it's not a vector drawing anymore because I'm adding all this detail. But I don't know. Like joking, not joking about this taking me flipping 3.5 years to get to this point. I'm proud of these stupid vector drawings. Okay, let's do this again. You know what? And just, oh, never mind. Okay. I said that everybody's going to be pointing this way. Let's do one where, yeah, okay, he's going to be pointing this way, but his body is going to be, so he's going to have his head turned, okay? I promise he's going to have his head turned. So let's see if I can get through this one without buggering it up. Okay, first of all, we're going to do his little bill. Don't need like a lot of space on your paper. His little bill, and he's going to be pointing his head this way because I said everybody's going to be looking to the right today. So we do his little bill with a little divider, and we know that his eye is close to the bill, and he's going to be looking this way. So we'll just do that. Now, his body is going to be curved and his tail's going to be over here. That's the plan with no eraser. So let's think about what we're going to see. We're going to see his little forehead, and we're going to see the top of his head. Now he's got his head turned. So everything on this right here, it's not going to be lying nice and flat. It's going to be a little bit ruffled. And for his throat, he's going to be, we're going to see his throat, and it comes down to his chest. Okay? Now, his chest is right here, facing us. So what we need to do is bring these This is the side of his head. And we bring that down to his shoulder. This is the width of his chest facing us right here. So that's his chest. We come off the rib cage and it's going to go straight down to his tummy. This is the underneath part of his tummy. And because of the angle with the way he's standing, this is going to go straight up to underneath his bum. So what's happening at his back? What we've got is his wing, because this is his shoulder here and this is his shoulder here. So this shoulder right here, we're going to have these feathers go back and lie on the tail. Remember, because he's only got his head turned. So this is the bottom of his tummy and we're going up past his bum. And then we're going to have his tail, if you like this. Tail's going to be a little bit wider because we are seeing it not from the side, but more head on. Watch your angles here. Let's bring us back down here. Put his wing like that. Or bum feathers. Head turned, width of the chest. Some wing feathers, and then we're going to see these as well, which I should not be putting in because this is just supposed to be a vector drawing. Well, old habits die hard. Okay, now this is his bum, and we know that these feathers right here are all going to be across his little elbow joint for his leg. So we're not going to see those. So let's just bring his foot out here. And this time, his front toe, his longer front toe, is going to be facing us. And his back toe is going to be pointing away from us. And then we're going to have his two other little toes and give him some cartilage around his foot. And then his other leg, probably not going to see very much, but we should definitely see his front toe, smaller toes, his little back toe, and some of his foot. Well, you get the idea. Please. Oh man, I'm exhausted. I'd rather do one of our 1 hour long detailed tutorials. Okay, so just flatten out his tummy a little bit more because this is his tummy. I made it a little bit too curvy, or you can have his bum feathers passing his leg, but you get the general idea, right? I think he's not too bad. The one was tricky. Okay, pose number 3. Let's do where his body is, his head is facing this way and his body is going to be going up. Okay, let's see how that goes. I hope you're suffering as much as I am. But I really want to figure out these little vector drawings. Okay, let's start with his little bill facing out into the world. Because like if we can figure this out, like you're free to do like anything and everything. It's still art. Okay, put in his eyeball. As I like complain and vent. Okay, so this time I want his body up like this and his tail up here. Okay, so once again, what are we going to see? We're going to have his throat. We don't want to do a huge curve here. I'll do his forehead in a second, but I want to do his throat. Now and then we're going to come off the throat, and then the rib cage is going to be here, and we're going to have the flat part of the tummy, kind of like this part here. Okay, so down his throat, top of the rib cage, and I want to have a curve of his chest right here. Stay with me. And then this is going to be the bottom of his stomach. We're going to have his forehead. We're going to see his little forehead. And we're going to see the top of his head. And then the back of his head is going to bump into his actual back. Because what we want to do is have him, turn your paper, make it easier for yourself. I want him to be curving up like this. And the wings are I want the wings meeting along his tail, folded nicely. Oh, that's not nearly as pointed up as I wanted. But anyway, that's okay. And then we're going to have his tail. This way. And we would see maybe one of the dividers of the tail. Now, we are going to see, this is his chest, and we're going to see part of his tummy here, but not a lot, okay? So let's put in his shoulder, because this is his shoulder here. And the wing, sorry, do a better curve than I did, like that. Now, we can put the divider. Usually see when the tail is like on this side like that, you can usually see the definition of a couple of feathers that are stacked. Okay, so with his leg, we know that his leg attaches back here. Sorry, back here, right? He's gonna have his little elbow joint. And then all these feathers here are going to be hiding his leg, and then we're going to have his foot coming out. Sorry, well, you know what to do. You don't need to see what I'm doing. We're going to have his little foot coming out. And we're going to have his longer middle toe. his shorter other toes, and then his back toe, and some cartilage for his foot. Maybe see his that third toe. But what we're not going to see is the other foot, okay? Because it's going to be right there. See what I mean? So you could have him like, you know, on some clinging to the side of a pumpkin or something. I don't know. But, okay. So what he's coming down. And then if you wanted to make him, you do the head and everything the same, you could swing this up more, right? And just change the angle of the, I wish his tail had, I'm incapable of drawing a straight line, but anyway. Okay. So, last one. Let's stop and clap. Okay, this guy I want to have eating some seeds off the ground. So the first thing we're going to do is let's draw the ground. Yay, and some little seeds. That's the easy part. My cord's in the way. Now, turn your page as well, okay? Because depending on the angle that you want, like I want to have his head basically straight down. I know everybody, I said everybody was going to be facing this way, but like, so what? So, I mean, I'm full of crap most of the time anyway. Okay, so turn your page because I want him to be eating the seeds off the ground, which means that his little bill is going to be like this. And we know where to put his eye. And he's looking at the seeds. Got it? Now from here, we're going to have his forehead. And his head is extended, right? Because he's reaching down. So we're going to see his forehead. We're going to see the flat on the top of his head. We're definitely going to see the back of his head, and it's all going to bump into the back of his body. For his throat, we're going to have just a little bit of his throat visible, and then it's going to curve to his upper chest, and then his tummy. And then we know that we've got all the bum feathers. This is going to be his shoulder. Don't do the wing too low because we know we see lots of chest and lots of tummy. So we're going to do his shoulder and the wing. And then we know that this is his fluffy, all the feathers around his bum. And then once again, it's a side view. So we're going to have his tail coming from his body and his wing folded nicely on top of his tail. Okay. He does have like quite a bit of a bend. Let's give him some character there, a little curve. Now this, and we're also going to see his fluffy bum feathers here, but let's put in his little elbow joint for his leg. definitely going to see because of his ankle. And then take his leg down carefully. And then we're going to have his longer middle toe, back toe, his other toes. Make sure you do them on the ground, the cartilage. Move the ground up if you have to. What a big mess of toes that I've done. And we're also going to see part of his other leg here. And likely his toe from his other foot. And we know that we've got all the little fluffy pump feathers that are going to be visible underneath the tail. Got his forehead, a little bit of his throat. This is the top part of his chest, and then straight down into his tummy, and this is all tummy right here. See? So, oh, I wonder if I can just have this out a little bit, get everybody on there. What do you think? Don't answer that. So, okay, clearly I need a little bit more practice doing my vector drawings, but I just think that it's a good place to start. Gosh, look at the curve of his back. Don't do this. Flatten him out a little bit more and stuff. But anyway, you know how to do the corrections. And I'm sure your vectors are going to be like way better than mine, but don't worry, I haven't gone over to the dark side. We're not going to be only doing vectors from now on, but even though clearly I need the practice, but I do see a whole bunch of value in these. Even this is bugging the crap out of me. My God, let's just try to fix his tail a little bit. Oh, man. Oh, well. There's always something, isn't there? Okay, thank you so much for your patience, your time, your attention, and for keeping me company. Can't put a price on that. Thanks, you guys. I'll see you next time.